The U.S. Census does not measure religion. That means there's no official government statistics on the religious composition of the country. And so the religious landscape study is really designed to help fill that gap.
This is the third time we've conducted the religious landscape study. We did it first in 2007, then again in 2014, and this is the latest time we started surveying in 2023. We finished up in 2024. And by having these 3 time points, it allows us to look at how all things religion have changed or stayed the same over the course of those 17 years.
In addition to documenting the size of the religious groups that make up the U.S. population, we also wanted to be able to describe the religious beliefs and practices and the social and political views of lots of religious communities.
We talked to over 35,000 Americans each time we've done this study, and that allows us to look at small religious groups.
We've got hundreds of interviews with Muslims and Jews and Hindus and Buddhists and Orthodox Christians and many other relatively small religious groups that we're just not able to analyze in smaller surveys. One of the big findings that comes out of the religious landscape study is that over the long term, the U.S. public has become less religious. We see this when we look at religious identity, when we look at religious practices like frequency of prayer, when we look at religious beliefs. We see them in pretty much every social and demographic category we're able to look at.
Christians have made up a large share of American society. And if they're shrinking, that means that at least one other group has to be growing. And we see that amongst those who are religiously unaffiliated. These are people who tell us, we ask them, what is your current religion? If any, they tell us that they're atheist, agnostic, or say their religion is nothing in particular. And we often call this group the nones, N-O-N-E-S, nones. We also see other groups who are not Christian trending upward, though not to the degree that we see this among the religious nones. Generational replacement is a big part of what's behind the longer-term trends in American religion. Generational replacement just refers to the process by which younger people age into a population as older people pass on. And so the population is being replaced by a younger generation that tends to be less religious than the older population.
Over the last 4 or 5 years or so, when we compare the new landscape study with other recent surveys we've done, what we see is a lot of stability in American religion. We see a lot more stability than decline. The share of Americans who identify with a religion, including Christianity, has been pretty stable over the last 4 or 5 years.
When it comes to religious nones, they've been ticking upwards as a share of the population. However, over the short term, we see that their numbers have plateaued.
That's a big change from the longer term, which of course shows a lot of decline in American religion. Even though it's true religion has declined in the United States over the long term, it's also true that the United States population is very spiritual.
We see that large shares of Americans believe that people have a soul in addition to their physical body. Large shares also say that they believe there's something spiritual beyond the natural world. Large shares believe in God or a universal spirit. Large shares believe in an afterlife. Considering generational replacement and this shorter-term stability, it raises the question, is this stability fleeting or is it the new normal? If things keep going the same way, and by that I mean that younger people remain less religious and newer generations that age into the population are also less religious, then you'll continue to see this downward decline in religiousness overall.